backbone of a company because they're the ones who actually have to pay the employees to make sure the business functions running correctly every month. And they're also the background for HR and finance for the in-between ground to make sure everything runs correctly, because all the finance GLs work through that and HR need everything on their system to go through payroll to ensure everything's correct. For me, my current role at Safeguard is with implementation, that we're building systems across Europe, Middle East and Africa. So recently I just did an Africa one in South Africa, so it's learning all the new systems, and every day is never the same within implementation. So it's literally, you could be working on a reconciliation one day, where the next day you're working on schedules for the client. So it's different, especially working with clients across different continents and countries. So it's definitely something I've enjoyed doing, is working with clients across the globe. When I was 22, so just after being on a graduate scheme for accounting, payroll was one of the areas you had to cover, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I had asked the manager if I could stay in that department, moving off the graduate scheme and going into payroll, and became a payroll administrator at Security Plus and I moved up the chain ever since in payroll. For me, it was going from being an analyst and a processor to building the systems, because obviously it's a bit different because I'm not processing them every week and month. I'm actually building them for the clients to use monthly. So I need to ensure that everything's correct on the system. So that's something I took. I think was the biggest gamble I took, was making sure I could fulfill building payrolls as well as processing them. So it gave me a greater scope globally as well. So I'm now working on global levels compared to country level of just the UK. For me, payroll is not just pushing a button like people assume it is, because there's all the background knowledge. For example, in UK payroll, you've got to work on all the HMRC, all the levies, the pension and everything else. There's different areas. It's not just click one button, it's all done for you. And from a build perspective for myself, is building payrolls isn't just about putting amounts and figures. You have to do all the background for demographics, org structures, everything what relates to the company as well as the employees, and making sure you've got all the right legislation for each country. The first one would be what Boris Johnson used, what was a key worker. So without payroll, companies can't function, because a bit like with the COVID crisis, if you weren't having payroll, who would pay all the staff for them to work? Second one is enthusiasm, because everything's different each month for payroll. So you need to make sure you enjoy the job to crack on with it. And three is credibility, because not only are you processing for people to be paid, you're also affecting the company on finance as well, if your HMRC bills aren't set up correctly in the system. It would be the song from Moana by Dwayne Johnson, You're Welcome. It's obviously my daughter's favourite film, but also without payroll welcoming all the new starters and leavers, nothing would ever be processed.